This is The Second Opinion. We're a sports medicine podcast. I'm Dr. Dokel.
I'm Dr. Glass.
And it is great to be live with you, dude. It's great
Yeah.
to be live. You're in high def.
Yeah.
I got good audio.
Yeah. I
Your
think,
skin's looking good. You told me about hyaluronic acid, and I'm letting the secrets out.
yeah, man, keep it between us.
I was mad you didn't tell me.
You were giving me crap for that.
How are you, bro?
Good, man. Just been busy traveling. Last week, this was the longest I've taken off since COVID, since
Yeah.
traveling with the USA Volleyball, when I was traveling internationally with them. This is the longest I've taken off. I took a whole 10, 11 days off to be with my daughter for her graduation and for her SoCon tournament for softball. It was a great week being out in Tennessee, Georgia area. Yeah, it was nice to kind of get grounded and regroup, be with family, friends, see people I hadn't seen for a little while, and then we get back here and back to the grind yesterday. But I'm glad
Yeah.
we're doing this. So
No, it's great. Well, also you got to come back to California. You're not living in those places that you visited. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's a blessing to be in California, I'd say, with the weather and the opportunity and, the people that you work with. So
yeah,
I know what you mean.
yeah, no, I love that area though. I mean, the people, the places, the type of lifestyle, slower paced, obviously. It just hits a little different out there, and it was very welcomed. So, I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to getting back. My daughter turns 22 today. Shout out to my daughter
Wow.
Shayna. Turns 22 today, and she graduated on Saturday. Turns 22 today. She is then moving to Georgia on the 13th, and then has her orientation for work, which she's with the Atlanta Braves organization. So starting her
Oh, that's
little
great.
career doing that. So we're excited. So it's just bang, bang, bang. Once she gets settled in, I'm gonna get out there and visit her and see what she's got going on for her next chapter.
Dude, let's not gloss over that. So she graduated school and now is this her first job out of college?
Yeah, so while she was in college, playing softball, it's a vigorous schedule. So she didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of internships, a lot of different opportunities, but through her networking, she had a lot of NIL deals and she was doing brand marketing and stuff for NIL type stuff. And one thing led to another. Part of this last year, she got a internship with the Cincinnati Reds organization. They have a AAA team out in Chattanooga. So she's been working with that organization, and then part time, and now she got the full time with the Braves.
Dude, that is awesome.
Yeah,
Happy birthday to her, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. No,
And also proud dad moment.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, man. Yeah, shed a few tears during graduation. Not gonna deny that. Just a big milestone, and I have zero reservations with her moving on and doing the next part of her life, and I'm happy about that. I think that's what we prepare our kids for, is to get to that level where you can let them go and let them do things and not have to worry about it. And I'm glad I'm at that space with her, and she's going to do just fine. And she's young, and just like we've experienced many things since our 20s, she's going to have lots of different opportunities, some good, some bad, but she's going to learn from all of them. And so we've had opportunities to talk all about that. So I just want her to get as many experiences like you and I did early on.
Yeah.
We just jumped in, and you know, even if you're not sure, just do it. As long as I tell them, as long as it's not illegal, unethical, or immoral, if it's out of your comfort level, that probably means it's the right thing to do. Go for it,
Yeah.
and figure it out as you go. And you don't have to be perfect at everything for sure to get started. So we had a lot of those conversations. We've had a lot of those conversations over the years, but this kind of coming to a closure of one chapter, opening up another one, led us to have more conversations. So I'm excited for her.
That's amazing, bro. I'm really, really happy for you, but I'm really happy for her. Happy birthday to you, Shayna. I don't know her, but I know her just, through conversations and just seeing her grow up and just know
Yeah,
I can't believe she's graduated college. That's amazing.
yeah,
And you should be proud of yourself too, because I mean, as any parent knows, it's, journey ups and downs. And I know it's been especially challenging since, the last 5 years. And I'm really proud of you, dude. I'm really
yeah.
proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's awesome. That's really awesome. I'm glad you got the time off too, to
Yeah,
be able to be out of state and just unplug, because when you're sprinting the whole time, like, yes, we can do it. This actually brings me to something I wanted to talk about later on down the road in the podcast. I just don't want to forget about. stress and injuries in
Yeah.
your nervous system.
Yeah.
I know that you can push hard every day and you do, and I feel like, probably put in 350 days out of 365 in the last year, and I know I feel the same too. And it's not that you can't do it, but I've been really mindful of at what cost, at the
Yeah.
cost of sleep, at the cost of your health, at the cost of, the late nights, the early mornings. And so I'm glad you got to reset a little bit and reflect. I think it's super important, bro. I think it's
Yeah.
important for us to do that because we have plans and goals for this year, and that requires energy and it requires focus and requires our presence most of all,
Yeah.
And so, dude, I'm super excited that you got that time. I know I called you once and you normally hit me back and
Yeah.
you didn't. And I thought to myself, he must still be out of town because he
Yeah.
always hits me back. And so I was happy for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no, I feel bad for that. I literally got it yesterday
Oh, no.
when I reached out to, check in about today and next week, and I looked and I'm like, what? I got a message from him, and I don't. It was Thursday, so I have no clue. Never even popped up on my screen, nothing. So,
Yeah,
but I appreciated
no,
it.
it's all good.
It was a nice little reach out just to say hi, see how things were going. So I always appreciate those. That's the nice thing about friendship that it doesn't always have to have something behind it, just to check in. So I apologize
Right.
for not getting back. But yeah, it's kind of
It's all
crazy.
good.
But what about
No,
you? Where have you been in the last 2 weeks with work and with travel? I know last time we did the podcast, you were just getting back from Florida and
yeah,
running crazy, burning the candle at both ends, like I'm doing right now.
yeah.
So we're kind of flip flop that. But yeah, so what have you been
Well,
doing?
take your vitamins, get a good night's rest because it did catch up to me yesterday or the day before where I was like, yo, I'm like this, my mom's sick right now. My dad is now sick too. And yeah, just been some late nights and some early mornings and, working on some side projects as well. So it's been busy, but I had to take a little time where I had stuff planned to do some admin stuff yesterday. And I just was like, I have to just rest. Otherwise I was right on the fence. I woke up
Yeah,
today feeling better, got a little workout in, do some water on my face. Don't look too terrible. But no, it's been good. It's been busy. I went to San Diego for a weekend of work, plugged in a day. I was supposed to have 2 days of work and 2 days off. It ended up being 3 days of work and one day off. But that one day off was awesome. I got to see
yeah,
some friends, go to dinner, and just get some time by the ocean and reflect. And yeah, it was mostly sweet. There was a little bit of bitterness in there just from nostalgia.
yeah,
But it was great, dude. It was nice. And then the drive up and the drive back, like I'm sure sometimes the drives can be tedious, but sometimes they're a little bit what's the word? Cathartic?
yeah.
Is that the right word? It's just like it feels nice to have some alone time.
Yeah, I like those yeah. I know what
Yeah.
you're saying. Sometimes it's a grind, but for the most part, especially that drive, I think is a beautiful part of the country, and you get to go
Yeah.
through all of it. When you go from southern to northern, you get to
Mhm.
go through central, so you get that. I was trying to explain some to Tennessee how it is, very different from place to place. You got the beach and the tropical type down here, then you got the
Yep.
central, you got the flatland agriculture, and then northern California, you got a blend of the ag plus the mountains and the trees and the hills and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool
Yeah.
to do that drive to go through it, depending on which way you go.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I'm trying to dial it in, Dustin, to where I have something I'm trying to plant the seed up there. We'll see. Maybe I can be up there a little more frequently and then we can get some in-person
Mhm.
pods going. I'm also lately on the mindset of speaking about the seed before it actually sprouts, even if it's rooting. I feel like somebody could just come and stomp on that seed, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? So
Yeah.
I'm just like waiting for everything to sprout before I speak on it.
Mhm.
And also just continuing to water and work the fields, so
Yeah.
to speak.
Yeah.
But it's yeah, no, it was good. I was reflecting just on, there's people who graduate school and just really have a struggle to even open a practice, or they're just destined to work for somebody else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But to be able to have your own place, it's a privilege, and then to be able to have the trust of patients for a long time. Like I saw some people that I've known for 10, 15 years and it was just nice, they were just saying kind things and it made me reflect on being in a position to just have those relationships. So sometimes I feel like we might forget about that being in practice or worried about getting people better or the process of running a business. And I know you have some really great, great relationships as well that this job has brought you. And yeah, I was just feeling grateful and thankful for that on the way back, really.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, good,
Uh,
good for you to reflect on those.
yeah, it's there's a balance in everything. I
Yeah.
think it's important, especially during times of growth or times of challenge. I was talking to an athlete who was basically, well, I'll just be honest. He was like, "Yo, I don't know if all this effort is going to pay off, you know? And I wanted to jump right in right then and just be like, well, that's everything, you know?
Mhm.
But I heard him out and he was valid. Like, he's like, I'm sacrificing this, I'm sacrificing this, I'm putting in this effort, I'm not starting, all these things. Essentially, my message was nothing's guaranteed, but you'll feel good about putting full effort in versus tapping out and then always wondering, dude, could I have, even if it was 1%, even if it's like, you'll be thinking about that.
Yeah.
I just know from people's competitive, some people wouldn't, but his
Yeah.
competitive nature, in the short time knowing him, I was like, dude, I promise you in 2 years, you're going to be like, could I have got that starting job? And could I have got a
Yeah.
scholarship? Could I be playing D1 football? Because he has that potential. The problem is, it's not a problem actually. It's a great thing. His position room has a lot of great athletes, and so like he's probably going to be a great athlete as well. It's just there's only so many spots, you know. So what are your thoughts on that for young athletes? This is a college athlete who,
Yeah.
is just having some doubts, and I was sharing some just lifetime experiences where I'm like, that's just not sports, but it's like, let me
Everything.
share something from the last year or two. And you have to make a decision and commit. It's like being a quarterback. I had a coach tell me once, the worst decision is indecision, you know? And
Yeah.
that really stuck with me. I take that into life of like, I'd rather let it rip and have it be an incomplete pass or an interception than just hold it and get sacked. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because I'm just not decisive. So, what are your thoughts on that? What would you say to that, or to your daughters who might have been in that position at one point in time?
Yeah, so a couple things on that last point you just made, like just let it rip. One of the teams I coached, one of our mantras that I started was one speed 100% of the time, or one speed, full speed 100% of the time. So it was just the
Hmm.
mantra. So I would yell out one speed, and then they'd yell out full speed, and then 100% of the time, right? And so the whole thing, we would repeat that over and over and over. And the whole idea is, yeah, you go full, no matter what you're gonna do. As soon as you go to pull that trigger, it's full speed 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So and it's one speed. We only have one speed in competition, and if you've prepared enough and the hesitations or the trying to figure out if it's the right move is taken care of in the preparation. So you don't have to
Mm,
think when you're competing, right? So you've already
right.
done that during practice and preparation. That's the time to do the calculations. When it comes to go and do full speed, there's no calculations on that part. It's just reaction. So that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
full, one speed, full speed, 100% of the time goes. But so I like what you said. But on the other part, with a couple things. One of the things, like with different players, and when you're not starting, and if you're a good player, so there's several things. If you're a good player and you know you have the talent, and you have the skill, and you're just not getting the call because you have a team full of great players, and the people ahead of you are great and amazing as well. And for some reason, you're just not getting that call. Everything else equal, at that point, it's up to the coach, and it's his opinion on who's going to start or not. So at that
right.
point of the conversation with these athletes is, don't let these coaches dictate your value, right? Just
Or
because
your
their
effort.
opinion is somebody's starting over you, that's their opinion. Because another coach might say, no, I'm going to start this on any given day.
Right.
So that's the thing. Don't let somebody else's opinion dictate, what you value your worth at. Again, it's just their opinion on who they're going to start. When it comes down to it and pen to paper, they have to make a decision. And at that point, that decision is their opinion of practice, on game, on who's been most consistent. There's a lot of factors, not whether you're good or not good. So,
Yeah,
that another coach might see the value in for that game or that position. And so, but if you quit, you'll never know, or you haven't met that coach yet,
yeah,
that sees where you have that potential. So that's one thing on that. Now, so a lot of times if you're not getting the start and there's people ahead of you, then I'd say, hey, have that conversation with the coach and ask them straight up, how can I, not why am I not starting, but what can I do to improve, to get
hmm,
a, not even about the opportunity. A lot of kids make the mistake by asking the coach for the opportunity, and then the coach will give them an opportunity. And then if it's a fail, then the coach will come back, well, I give you your opportunity, you didn't succeed.
yeah,
So the question more is not on opportunity, but what can I do to make the lineup, or make a start and stay in that position? What do I need to do? What do I need to work on? And then once coach gives you that, you might just have to work a little harder on certain things. But if you don't know what the coach is looking for, or you're missing that mark and you're just assuming that you're doing everything right, the coach might have mentioned something in the past that didn't resonate with you, but if you go in and they say, "Hey, I need you to work on XYZ," and you go back and work on XYZ, and at least at that
Right.
point, you've filled in the bucket of what the coach wants. And if at that point they're still not getting the start, then at least you know, hey, I've done everything I could based on what he told me or she told me, and then you chalk it up for that. But
Yep.
then you at least you've taken it out of the equation. I had, and then sometimes, like you said, the people ahead of you, it's just really hard to bust through. I had one patient a long time ago was in the New York Yankee organization, AAA, and he made up
Hmm.
AAA and great organization, the best organization at the time that you could be playing for and be in AAA because you're one step away from making the big league. But the problem was the people ahead of him were Jeter and A-Rod.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like,
So he's in AAA and he has Jeter and A-Rod in front of him.
yeah, so talk about a depth
Jeez.
chart, like,
Yeah.
you know, those are the guys that, and you're not wishing anything upon their, they are who they
Sure.
are, but, and they're going to be there for a long time. So it's like,
Yes.
it's one of those things.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just doesn't, pan out, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean he's not a good player, right? Get traded to
No, for
another
sure.
team and then you're that guy,
Sure.
but anyways,
Yeah.
so,
No, it's about opportunity and preparation. That's what I was saying to him is
mhm,
the last thing you want to do is get the opportunity and you're not prepared because your mind wasn't right or you didn't expect it or you didn't prepare like you're a starter. If you want to be a starter, you got to prepare like you're a starter when you're not a starter. You
yeah,
don't start preparing to be a starter once you get the call. That's too late. You're not going
yeah,
to be in there too long. Yeah. And also there's nothing wrong with the discussion and trying to figure it out. Like with
mm,
him, he was trying to like talk about it and figure out like, should I be all in or should I change this? And I think that's a valid thought process, to
mhm.
have honest reflection and
It's a
talk with
mature
people
thought.
that, yeah, that is very mature, I would say. That's a
Mhm.
great way of putting it. And
Yeah,
talk to your trusted people. I would say don't talk to everybody. Everybody has an opinion,
yeah,
but I appreciate him asking me my opinion. And, he's like, I talked to my dad and I talked to my position coach and I said, what'd they say? And he's like, my position coach was like, keep working. Like, you're too good to be like, you're exceptional at this. It's just not your time, but keep working and it will be your time. And his dad was, very supportive. Was like, I'll support you in whatever you're going to do, but you're not going to quit this season. Like, you got to ride out
yeah,
this season.
yeah,
So like you have to give it 110 now. And then at the end of the season, we can have another discussion.
right.
And, I kind of was along the lines of just put in the effort 100% and wait for your opportunity. And I shared a story with him about someone in the league who his position coach didn't like him. He came from college and he was treating NFL guys like a college coach would. So like
Mhm.
berating him and he had known him from college. This coach rookie year in the NFL was this player's rookie year. And so for whatever reason, he's like, he was really like on me and some other player verified, like, yeah, he'd be super aggressive. Long story short, he was thinking about like, man, maybe this isn't for me and maybe I should quit. I'm definitely not going to get, at one point in time, he was told he was going to get 40 reps and the other guy was going to get 40 reps. And it ended up being something like 70 to 10 or 68 to 12.
Yeah,
And so he's like, I'm definitely getting cut. So a veteran was basically said, be prepared, take advantage of your opportunity. The next practice, he had 1 rep and got an interception. The next practice, he had 2 reps, dropped an interception, and had a tip ball. Then in the game, the guy pulled somebody pulled like a hammy or got hurt, and he got in to the preseason game, balled out, didn't look back, was in the league. And that was it. And
yeah,
it's like, dude, what if he just wasn't? And he said he looked in the mirror and was like, actually, I heard this on a podcast, and he said he looked in the mirror and was like, doubting himself and he was like, no, you're like, what you're doing, you're the man, like,
yeah,
what you're doing, trust yourself. And he's like, I was going out for my pro day workout and I was having a conversation in the mirror,
mhm,
like, are you not him, like, are you like maybe? And then he's like, no, he's like, I just was like, you know what you're doing, trust yourself. And then he went out. And so maybe that's a unique case and he got lucky, but I would say he believed and kept working.
yeah,
And that I think is critical. And it's not just for sports. I think it's
right.
in everything. So yeah, it's interesting to see. I'm excited to kind of see what this next year brings for him. I'll be rooting for him.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I wanted to ask you, Dustin? It's a little bit of a change of a subject, but how's the USA volleyball going? I know you're back involved in that.
Yeah,
And the day that I saw you post something about it or you were there, I had a high school girl who's probably going to be a collegiate swimmer, but she plays high school volleyball as well. And I'd like to talk about her issue. after you answer this question. She has a shoulder instability problem. But how was your experience with USA Volleyball? Because coincidentally, I saw it that same day, and I was like, man, I gotta ask Dustin how that's going and like what the experience has been like.
Yeah, so this is my they call it quads. When you're working with the national team and the Olympic team, they break it down into quads, the Olympic season. So this is my fourth quad, which means fourth Olympics involved with them.
Yeah.
So pretty exciting, pretty cool. A lot of transition from when I first started between coaches and players. In the first two quads, probably first 8 years or so, we had a pretty solid same team because it was really young when I first came in, and then they kind of phased out over 8 years. So pretty cool to see the transition. And then a couple more stuck around last quad, and then they're pretty much all gone. So the players I started with are no longer there. So it's kind of come full circle. But we have a whole new group, young, very talented. I work with men and women's indoor teams. We're getting ready for the 2028 Olympics, and that I started with them. When was that? End of April, so middle of April, and we go through August. So I'm
Yeah.
working with them a couple days a week. Sometimes I'll come to the office if needed. And then we got a couple games coming up. That'll be pretty fun for the public to go watch coming up. Manhattan Beach.
Is there one in San Diego?
What's that?
Is there one in San Diego? I thought I saw like a exhibition
Yeah,
somewhere.
I'll have to look. I'll let you know for sure. The last one I saw was going to be in Manhattan Beach,
Oh,
but I
that's where it was.
I know they
Where it
do
was.
tour around. But yeah, those are
No, it
fun.
wasn't Manhattan.
If people can go to those are a lot of fun because it's really typically smaller venues, really intimate. You get a really good feel. I would recommend going to see the men and the women because they're, even though it's the same sport, they're totally different approaches. Men
Yeah.
just try to kill each other. The speed at which they hit it. I mean, both the power and the execution on both men and women is amazing, but
Hmm.
the men's longer levers and muscle mass, it comes at you. They just there's not a lot of finesse in the game. There's not a lot of rallies. It's just
Yeah.
serve and
Pow.
kill. Serve fast kill. Serve fast kill. Where with the women it's more, I think it's a more exciting game.
No, I could see that for sure. Volleyball is like such a fun sport to watch, you know? Like
Hmm.
in college, we had a really good men's and women's team, and I had friends on both. They were competing for the national championship each year,
Yeah.
and I can't imagine, in fact, couple of them were trying out for the Olympic team, so they must be like of the same caliber, actually better now, a couple decades later. But I mean, there must be guys who are already 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", who have a 40-inch vert plus a reach.
Yeah.
So like they're hitting that ball down probably from 12 feet, maybe
Yeah.
at
It's
least 10
amazing.
minimum, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And
It's
then the
amazing.
velocity of that, I
Yeah.
took one like this one time, and when I say my forearms were not red but stinging for about 10 minutes. Yeah, do you ever see them knock it and be like, "Yeah, I'm not getting in the way of that"?
My first time, my first time traveling internationally, we went to
I'm
Japan.
listening, but I'm sorry, I'm listening, but I gotta do something real quick.
Yeah,
Go
no, no,
ahead.
no. First time was in Japan for World Cup, and my first trip traveling, and I didn't realize, everybody pitches in, the whole staff. So during practices, the docs would be out there, and the staff would be out there shagging balls. And
Yeah.
I learned really quick that you got to be paying attention at all times, and you better be ready to move lateral or forward, back, whatever you need to do to get out of the way. Because if you get hit with one of those, it's going to leave a mark for sure. So it's like when we used to play dodgeball, but times,
Right.
1,000 or whatever.
Hey,
I remember the first time I got hit and never wanted to get hit again. It is very painful. There's no forgiving on those balls either. So, but yeah,
so who's the without naming names, but like obviously your fourth Olympics, so that's 16 years. And but there must be some people that were on the previous Olympics in 2024, right? Just a couple years later in 2026 now. Is there anybody
yeah,
from 2020 that's still on the squad on either side? Maybe, I guess. Huh?
yeah, I'm sure there are. Now I'm gonna feel bad if I say no, but no, there
No,
are.
no, I didn't mean to put you on the
Yeah,
spot.
there are. There's more men than there are women. I think there's like two women that are still on, and then I think there's four or five guys that are still on. So,
Yeah.
but
The reason I ask is the Olympics is so unique that depending on what age, like if you hit your first Olympics at 18, you could probably be in three Olympics. You
yeah,
hit the first Olympics at 21 or something, then maybe you only have two
yeah,
opportunities. It's a blessing to even have one,
yeah,
but like
for sure.
I'm really excited, dude. I think the next couple of years, life's really going to change for us, and the opportunities that you're going to have, like with the Olympics being in LA. I just hope everything is safe. It's like
Yeah,
just going to be crazy congestion, and I'm sure they'll plan it out the best they can. But yeah, dude, it's going to be fun to. It feels very like historic Olympics do to
yeah,
me. Something about the amateur status, about not getting paid, about it being for the love of the game. Not that you can't become a star through the Olympics, but
right.
look, there's high school kids who are now in college making more NIL money than some of the best sprinters in the world,
Yeah,
which I think we got to figure that out. Like, we
yeah,
can't have our Olympic athletes having poor nutrition unless they're sponsored and only certain numbers get sponsored. Like, bro, we're already like the best in the world and we're not like always super forward thinking, I feel like, when it comes to some things around athletics.
I agree.
But with the Olympics, anyways, getting back to the point, it's going to be very cool to see people that compete at the highest level on the world stage to be the best in the world
Yeah, it's
and
a
then
fun.
get a medal,
Yeah,
be on a podium
yeah,
in your country.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah. It's pretty.
they
When
give me
we
chills right now.
I was in Italy when we won world champions and for the first time ever,
Mm,
USA won that tournament, and I remember it just going crazy. And Coach uh, Karch Karai, the goat of volleyball, he basically pulled us all up on the podium with them. And to have,
no
so I got
way.
pictures on the podium or on the platform, and all the girls holding their medals, holding their trophy, and
Come on.
the confetti raining down everywhere.
Yeah.
And I got a picture of me up there, and wearing my
Bro, where is that picture?
USA warm up, that you see with the embroidered USA, not just, the
Yeah.
screen print USA. And, that was a proud moment. And then crazy story. My first travel time was in Japan, and all that. Coach Hugh, he presented me with one of their medals that they won. And so
That is great.
I've got, and then another crazy story on my last trip, years later, like even last year or so, I get a package in the mail, and Coach Karai, who moved from the women's to the men's last year, he said he sent me a medal in the mail with a nice handwritten note saying
Mm,
that he had saved this for me all these years, and it was in his drawer, got lost. And when he was moving from office to office in the moved to the men's team, he
yeah.
wanted to get it to me. But he didn't have to do that, right? Like,
Yeah. That's
you know,
amazing.
I didn't even know about it, so he could have just like, okay. But so I get a package in the mail with this nice handwritten letter from one of the winningest medalists in USA history. He did it in both indoor and in beach
Yeah.
medals. And anyways, so that was a special moment
Legend.
to get recognized. And so
I,
yeah, actually, I think. Well, no, this is another one, but from the last Olympics, I got a USA. This was in the mail, USA note, and then a signed jersey from them all, with
dude, that's fire.
my name on the back.
Dude, that is
That's,
so dope.
that's pretty cool. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are you talking about?
well, yeah, all the signatures from that was from last Olympic. Yeah,
Okay, timeout.
yeah,
I'm interrupting you. I was hitting you with the timeout and you didn't recognize it. You probably thought that was like a podcast signal. I was like trying to interrupt you to like ask you a question. I was like, timeout, timeout. Yo, I'm 99% happy and enthusiastic and like thrilled for you, but I'm 1% upset. And I'm gonna let you guess at what it is before I tell you why.
I don't.
I've never seen that picture. I've never seen that medal. I've never heard this story. Are we not friends? And also, I'm putting it out there. We are in the era of there's a difference between celebrating wins and bragging. We are not braggers, but we're in the era of celebrating all our wins. And I want you to not do that again. Like when you have something amazing like that, you need to post that so at least I can see it.
Yeah,
So other people can recognize you. You deserve that recognition from your
yeah,
players, from your patients. Dude, those aren't things that you just hide. You got that jersey just wrinkled over there. You need to frame that thing.
for sure. Yeah,
What? Yeah. We need to
yeah,
start sharing all of our wins. We have too many wins in the closet that just every so often we open the door and look at them and then shut it back again because we
yeah,
think it's going to keep us from winning more. Bro, we're winners. We're going to keep
yeah.
winning. We need to share those wins.
Yeah,
So I'm going to
that's a true
keep
story.
on you.
I appreciate
Yeah,
it. Thank
dude.
you.
That's amazing, dude. That's so crazy. Also, shout out to Coach for pulling you up on stage. That's
Yeah,
very, very like, that just shows why he's a great coach. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
unbelievable
Because
coach.
it
One of
does
the
take
best.
everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like you would have gone up there and been like, I'm a part of this, even though you were a part of it.
Yeah.
So to be invited up, that just is extra special, dude.
Yeah. Yep. No, he was so he was during that phase, he brought in Kobe to speak to the girls at one point. And
Hmm.
so he's a big motivational guy. He brought in Kobe. He brought in the sports psychologist that worked with us that was also with Pete Carroll with the USC and with the Seahawks. And so he would come in and do special talking with us, and coach would allow us to come in and a handful, whoever wanted to sit in on the back of the team meetings. And so
Yeah.
I would take advantage of that all the time because when the athletes are not in the training room, what are we doing? We're in the hotel or whatnot. So I would go and sit in these meetings in the very back room, in the back of the room, and just be a fly on the wall and to hear
Absorb it.
just the wisdom just spew out and these good coaching moments and just to be part of it. I learned so much from being able to sit in there. But again, to his credit, allowing and just opening that door, he didn't have to do that for, whoever wanted to. And I think I was one of the only ones that would usually take him up on it. But yeah, and I remember traveling back from Grand Prix, one of the trips, because it was right before the Olympics. They had to narrow it down, so they had pretty much their 18, but it came down like four more spots, right? So this is critical time. And so half the team that already knew they were that made the cut went back to United States. The other half went back. Well, I went back with Coach Karai and with the players that were already on the Olympic team made the cut.
Hmm.
And so it was me and him traveled. I think there might have been one other staff member, but I remember being with him, and he's the one that since this day we were in the airport, busy airport, elevator going up to the next floor, and he's 20, 30 years older than me, takes the stairs and bypasses.
Mm.
But you've seen those videos of these people doing that.
Yeah.
And I
Just boom, boom, boom.
and it's because he could, not because he wanted to, but because he still could. He's very competitive everything he
Yeah.
does, and so it was a challenge to him. And so I went right with him, and I was out of breath going up those stairs, and he did it like it
Yeah.
was nothing. And since then, I've
Yeah.
always done that. Now every airport, I never take the escalator, or hardly ever. If I have an opportunity, I take the stairs just because I can. I will, and I learned that from him. Yeah, anybody could take the elevator, and most people do. 99% of the people do take the elevator. Nobody takes those three-story stairs, right? But with luggage. So, but if you
Yeah.
can, you should. So, as
Yeah.
long as I can, I still will.
No, that's so true because when you stop doing something is when you can't do it anymore, you know?
Yep.
And it happens at a slow burn. I was talking to somebody who's in their late 60s and they're having some issues. And he's like, man, I wish I would have started this like last year. And I said, actually, low key, you should have started this like 10 years ago, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
And like, it wouldn't even be starting something. It'd just be like, don't stop squatting.
Yeah.
10 years ago, I said, if you just do 10 squats, forget even 10 squats a day. If you just did 5 squats a day every day 10 years ago, you wouldn't be in this position now. And
Yeah.
that, how long does that take? That takes 10 seconds. That's it. And he like kind of didn't believe me. And then he came back the next week and he was like, you know what? I've been thinking about that. And like, yeah, you're right. Because there's stuff that I can do now that I'm like, I don't really want to, but I can. And if I
Yeah.
stop, I'm like, well, when I'm 80, am I going to be wishing that I had continued to? He's like,
Yeah.
you kind of messed me up.
Yeah.
He's like, now I'm like, trying to be like, oh, it's just 10 seconds. He's like, but the thing is, I got like 20 things that take 10 seconds. And he's like, next thing I know, it's like a half hour a day thing. And I'm like, is a half hour a day too much of a commitment to make sure that you can still play golf when you're 80 or you can get in and out of your car? You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
I just don't think we think about it like that. And I don't know. I've been nerding out really thinking about how you're going to feel in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years. Like, I could be wrong, but we could be dang near close to 100 and still be cognizant and mobile.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
that goes back to that point that I mentioned on the podcast before. I heard somebody say, you know, you can't expect to be a badass in your 60s, 70s, or 80s if you don't start being a badass now. If you're not a badass now and you don't change that, what makes you think you're going to be a badass in 10, 20 years?
yeah,
Right? Like,
yeah,
so, and not even talk about being a badass, just being functional. If you're not
yeah.
functional now, what makes you think time, if you don't change anything, will make it any easier?
No, that's so true. I mean, there are the exceptions, but you really got to be an outlier. Like I've had people in their 60s who took up cycling and took up running because of things in their life, and they've really been dedicated. However, like to your point, had they started that earlier, they'd be in better shape and, have less injuries due to, their body not being used to it and starting late. So,
Yeah, but
um,
to that point, them in their 60s adding the bicycle, they're doing that for them being in 80s, right?
yes,
So it's not
right.
too late. To your point, it's never too
Yeah,
late. So if I'm talking to a 70-year-old, one our dad or mom, and they're
yeah,
like, "Well, I've never done that." Well, hopefully you have another 20 years, so you might as well start now. It's not too late. Think of how
yeah.
much better you'll be in 20 years if you start cycling now. You know?
Dude,
So
for sure.
yeah,
There's a world where like my dad could go viral if I just recorded him with some meta glasses because every time I pull out my phone, he knows. But
yeah,
if I just meta glassed him and been like, here's this guy now, and he just did what I said 20 minutes a day, I was talking to my cousin. I'm like, this guy could be a whole different person in 12 months, and people
yeah,
would trip out.
yep,
He doesn't even know what going viral means, but
yeah,
maybe that could be his our job. We'll see. Well, hey, dude, I know we're coming up against the clock here as I look at it. I think it's a good point to end on for today, and I look forward to recording with you here in a couple days again. I'm glad we're getting a couple sessions in this week,
yeah,
and I appreciate the combo. It was good to catch up with you and hear about your trip and things like that.
yeah. Vice versa.
Our next episode, we're going to talk about a couple different things: shoulder issue, a hip issue, and then I know you had a patient case you wanted to talk about. So
Yeah,
I'm excited to discuss those things at our next epi.
sounds good.
All right, bud. Any last words?
No, let's just have a great week. Thanks for everybody tuning in, and we appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you, listeners. Tell a friend if you enjoyed this episode. Hit subscribe if you haven't. We appreciate that. And we will be with you next week again. We'll talk to you soon. This is the Second Opinion. We're a sports medicine podcast. I'm Dr. Dochel.
I'm Dr. Glass.
And it's been great chatting with you, Dustin. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
You too, buddy. Sounds good.
Be safe. Bye.